Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Schaefer. I am a student at Franklin University, focusing my degree towards healthcare administration and healthcare management. Today we'll be discussing line of duty determinations and issues and resolutions to common issues for the Ohio Army National Guard. My personal background and expertise is I've been in the Ohio Army National Guard for 12 years. 6 of those years I've been active Guard Reserve, which is a member of the National Guard in a full-time capacity or active status. I have 2 mobilizations under my belt, one to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and one to the National Capital Region, Washington, D.C. The military occupation specialties that I hold are 31 Bravo, 14 Sierra, and 68 Whiskey. Military police, Avenger crew member, and combat medic. My civilian education, as mentioned before, I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration from Franklin University, and I also studied 3 years of biology at the University of Cincinnati. As mentioned before, during this presentation, we're going to be focusing on identifying and resolving common issues with line of duty determinations and processing them within the Army National Guard specific to Ohio. We'll be discussing the regulations that govern LODs, what an LOD is, what it stands for, and who's eligible for it, common submission issues, and then as well elaborating further into those issues and ways we can resolve those issues. A few best practices, and then I'd like to open up the presentation to questions and discussion within the comment section of this YouTube post. For the Army regulations governing LODs, LODs are not specific to National Guard soldiers. It can also pertain to active duty or reserve soldiers. The main regulation is AR 600-8-4, AR standing for Army Regulation, which is the line of duty policy, procedures, and investigations regulation. It's the foundational regulation for LOD procedures in both the Army and Army National Guard. This regulation outlines when an LOD is required, the investigation process, whether the LOD is formal or informal, formal requiring a further investigation by an investigating officer, or informal, which can go through the normal channels of the unit commander approval and review, going to state, then to NGB for final approval. Different forms that are used for LODs is discussed inside of this regulation, specifically the DA Form 2173, which is the manual LOD form. Roles and responsibilities of each level of the LOD process, from the soldier to the unit commander to the unit admin to the state representative to the investigating official, intermediate reviewer, and so on and so forth. Other regulations that are used are NGR 600-200, which is the enlisted personnel management regulation containing references to LOD determinations and how they affect personnel actions. It also includes guidance for state level National Guard operations in conjunction with federal policies. So it just kind of connects the active status with the National Guard status. NGR 600-5, the Active Guard Reserve Program. So a lot of times these LODs fall within the realm of the AGR's responsibilities, specifically the Readiness NCO, Medical Readiness NCO, medical admins, medical officers, depending on what your state has as Active Guard reservists. So making sure that what their responsibilities are is listed out there as well, to include medical and administrative concerns. NGR 40-3 is the medical care for ARNG soldiers. This provides policies for medical care eligibility, including LOD related treatment, and those processes specific to Army National Guard soldiers. There's also a few systems that are used for LODs. You have Genesis, which is a way that case management within the state of Ohio can pull medical documentation if necessary. You have MedChart. Within MedChart, it has a bunch of different tabs and links that you can use to handle any kind of medical administration tasks. Specifically is the EMMPS system, which is focused around the LOD aspect that we're talking about today. All right, going further into what an LOD is and who is eligible. AR 600-8-4 defines an LOD determination as an official process used to determine whether a soldier's death, injury, or illness occurred while in a duty status and not caused due to misconduct. LODs are afforded to members of the National Guard who are in one of the following statuses at the time of the incident or diagnosis. Active duty, so your Title 10, Title 32 orders. Inactive duty, which is your normal monthly drill period. Usually it can be anywhere from 2 to 3 days, depending on how many MUTAs or unit training assemblies you plan on using that month. Annual training, which is your standard 15 days of active duty orders that are required by National Guard soldiers to qualify for a good year. Or AGR, your active Guard Reserve soldiers are even eligible for LODs. Looking into some of the common submission issues that impact LOD submission and approval are delays in initiating the LODs. So Ohio has a guidance pushed out that all LODs must be submitted within 180 days of reporting. So if a soldier comes in today, April 12th, 2025, we have exactly 180 days to submit that LOD for approval before it is turned into a formal LOD requiring a further investigation. Incomplete or inaccurate DA Form 2173. So if the 2173 is not filled out correctly by the Readiness NCO of Medical Admin, that is going to delay the process. It'll go forward and then it'll get kicked back due to inaccurate information. The more detail with these typically is best. Lack of supporting documentation. If the soldier is not providing supporting documentation showing a definitive diagnosis, such as anything other than pain, sprain, or strain, there's a good chance that LOD is going to get kicked back from NGB or the state due to lack of substantial documentation supporting injury or illness that is of long-term detriment to the soldier. Inconsistent state procedures, so changes in state procedures based off of battalion guidance or even NGB guidance, or changes to just regular basic state procedures, and then a miscommunication between command, medical, legal personnel. There may be a misunderstanding of the policies and procedures at each of those levels, which is where you kind of get that miscommunication or informal communication outside of the 2173 or MedChart system. People telling you to push things forward, maybe not the right processes, things like that. On this slide, we'll be discussing the delay in initiation. As kind of discussed before, LODs not being started promptly after the incident could lead to a further delay if that LOD is not approved within the designated 180 days for the state of Ohio. If it's not submitted within that 180 days, that's when that formal investigation would be switched over, and these LODs would take a lot longer to go through an investigating official and an intermediate reviewer as well. So that in turn impacts the soldier with delays to treatment, pay, or benefits. These LODs can lead to a style or a pay procedure called INCAP or incapacitation pay. Usually it's associated similar to a workman's compensation for that soldier if the injury impacts them from doing their civilian career as well. The solution is that command emphasis on time of the initiation. It takes the battery commander, battalion commander, brigade commander, and the state adjunct general's office to really focus their time and attention to emphasizing how important these LODs are for the soldiers. Because as that emphasis gets down to the lower ranks, it puts pressure on them to actually action these LODs. Next, we'll be discussing incomplete documentation. So the problem being missing medical records, witness statements, command memos, things of that nature. Each LOD requires a set list of documentation that must be provided. If any of those memorandums, forms, medical documents are missing prior to submission, it'll immediately be kicked back without action. This impact, obviously, same thing as before, slowed approvals, possible disapproval, which impacts not just the unit but the soldier as a whole. The solution for this is having checklists and standardized packets that go forward for every LOD case. You can always add more documentation, but having that set list prepared will allow the medical administrator or the readiness NCO to have every required document prior to submission. Similar to the incomplete documentation, lack of supporting documentation. This isn't as focused on the administrative documentation, but more the medical documentation. So continue to receipt of supporting medical documents from the soldier. That open communication between the soldier, their provider, and the medical admin or readiness NCO allows for that documentation to go forward as it comes in and be added to the case so that the LOD has the most updated information and has a complete picture for the National Guard Bureau surgeon to review and approve that LOD. Same as always, excuse me, that impact is always on the soldier. We're focused on improving the overall well-being of that soldier, and any delay to the process will impact the soldier negatively. The solution for this, it's called a release of information form completed by the soldier, basically releasing any medical documentation associated with the case to our state case managers who can pull those documents either out of Genesis or directly from the medical treatment facility to ensure that all the updated information is being added. The next issue is miscommunication. This is one of the largest concerns, not just in medical aspect of the Army, but as a whole for the National Guard and active duty Army as well. Making sure there's a constant and efficient communication route between the unit, the medical staff, the JAG, which is the legal team, and that medical provider and soldier. Making sure that everybody is communicating and information is flowing to provide the most accurate and detailed data and analysis for that LOD. That impact is conflicting information, processing errors, things that are going to slow that LOD up. The solution is establish LOD coordinators and liaisons. So if you're the medical admin, making sure you know who to reach out to if you have a question to confirm the information being given from both sides. Closed loop communication, something we focus on a lot as combat medics. So making sure if I'm asking for something, I'm getting a response back that either they acknowledge that that's my question or they acknowledge the answer directly back to me. The final issue we're going to be talking about is inconsistent state procedures. Every state is different. Every case is different. So making sure that we have a consistent set procedure for LODs is the only way we can ensure that processes do not change at the lowest level. If processes change, we need to make sure that information is getting to the lowest level so that these packets are not going up and being kicked back. So different requirements across the states. So NGB may have its set guidance, but each state decides to tweak their plans just a little bit different. They want to see exactly what's going on. They have different priorities, if you will. So making sure that that information is getting down to the lowest level and following NGB's guidance as much as possible to reduce the chances of miscommunications or inconsistent packets being submitted by different medical admins throughout the states, brigades, battalions, and overall units. Finally, I want to close with some questions and discussions. If you have answers to these, or if you have best practices that would change the way the state of Ohio runs them, please add them into the comments below this video. But I want to ask everybody, what challenges has your unit experienced with LODs, and what has worked well to resolve those issues? Each state is different, so reaching out to fellow states is a best way to advance upon issues we're currently seeing within the state of Ohio itself. So